Speaking of Dennett, another tangent here. I just listened to the intro. Sam Harris just dropped the podcast. Literally, I was driving earlier and he dropped it and he had a intro where he was talking about his relationship with Dennett. And I was like, oh man, he was I love his writing. But he had this way about him that from a distance he did seem like a guy that was full of life, and he was talking about how, you know, he just liked to live life, this guy, and he looked like that. He looked like he was the type of guy that you would see fishing or something, out behind his house. And it actually was very moving. I was very moved by the him relating, and he was talking about he didn't really know him all that well, but they were connected obviously because of that, what was going on there. But yeah, that's I'm gonna have to look at your X or what. I don't have X, but I'm gonna look at it and see your photos that you posted. That's kind of cool.
Oh, it is
Um,
cool. Yeah, Dan was a good guy. Yeah, bigger than life is a good way to put it. He was big. I mean, he's like 6'4" or something like that.
yeah,
And yeah, to live 82 is actually pretty good, particularly since he wasn't in great shape. He didn't take that good care of himself physically, I think, and had a lot of medical issues over the years. And yeah, but he would engage with anybody about anything. He's just one of those big, diverse thinkers.
right.
And yeah. So it was, yeah, I was like 10 days with him on a boat in the
Mm.
Galapagos when he was writing Breaking the Spell. And
Mm.
he was telling me about it. So Frank and I said, well, why don't you give a little, people were giving talks at night on the boat. So why don't you give us a little talk about it? So he did. He gave us a summary of his thesis in Breaking the Spell. It was really fun.
Man,
Yeah.
that is
Now, I
awesome.
mean, a lot of people found him arrogant. And my friend David Barish had the greatest line. He was an arrogant man and he had much to be arrogant about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
cool.
mean, he was a super smart guy. I mean, really a deep thinker. And so, okay. But it's not that he was arrogant so much as just enthusiastically wanting to jump in the conversation and have, make his voice heard. And, there has to be some ego in that, I think, obviously.
Right.
But I didn't think he was like a narcissist who was rude to other people. I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I mean, of that crew, he seemed to me, or maybe it was just because he's a little bit older than everybody, but he seemed like the least. I mean, he was unlike Hitchens and Dawkins, who are very forthright. He was definitely not that. He kind of had at least to the public, he had a softer touch. It seemed like to me, even breaking the
Maybe.
spell,
Yeah.
was
Yeah. 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 Maybe not as confrontational or activist in his beliefs. It was more just intellectual. Although I remember at TED, let's see, this was TED 2006 in Monterey. We were sitting next to each other when who's the guy that wrote Purpose Driven Life?
Rick Warren.
Rick Warren.
Yeah.
And Rick Warren was due to come up. And then Dan was going to speak after. And Dan was like sharpening his knives. Oh boy, I'm gonna have my way with this guy, and I'm gonna, so I'm like, oh, okay. And then Rick Warren just he's such a nice guy. He was just so thoughtful, and he was just such, I don't know, just seemed so conciliatory. And all the money he made from this book, he plowed into charities, and he just wants to help people, and
Hmm.
so on and so on. I'm like, Dan, you can't. This guy's like the world's nicest guy.
Yeah.
You can't go on and destroy him in front of all these people love this guy. I mean, just easy boy.
Right.
And he did.
Right.
He dialed it back a little bit and said, well, I think, I wished you would have said it this way rather than that way, rather than that's a bunch of bullshit.